I remember the weight of the small metal key in my pocket. That's the part people never believe, how a simple click can end a marriage. But that was later. This is before. My name is Charlene. I am 63. I drove across Scottsdale with a trunk full of groceries because my daughter had just landed at Phoenix Sky Harbor after her last flight of the year. New Year's Eve, 2026, was hours away. I wanted the house warm, food ready, nothing fancy, quiet care. I'm better at that than speeches. Her husband used to say it like a joke. Call before you come. You get confused. I laughed it off. Honestly, I laughed off a lot. Stupid habit. The house felt paused when I walked in. No music, no television, just that faint sound of running water somewhere down the hall. It didn't match the time of day. I told myself it was a pipe or a faucet someone forgot. I swear I always start with the most generous explanation. I set the bags on the counter and checked the fridge. Empty in that specific way that says someone was supposed to shop and didn't. I noticed the party photo on the wall. Same faces as always. Her best friend right next to him. Normal. I didn't think anything of it then. That's me. Late to the obvious. I slipped my phone into my pocket without unlocking it. Not recording. Not yet. Just there. If you've ever learned to make yourself smaller, you'll know why. I followed the sound toward the guest bathroom. The door was locked. But I heard the water running too long. I used the spare key I always keep on the hallway hook, the one he told me I'd probably lost months ago. I didn't nudge it. I opened it wide. I stood in the kitchen and opened a drawer that wasn't mine anymore. Empty. That's when the memory slid in. Uninvited. I sold the land outside Prescott years back. Family land? Dusty. Honest. I didn't tell many people. I wired the money straight to my daughter, because that's how you keep things clean. I kept every receipt, every closing paper, every email thread, not because I didn't trust anyone, because I trust paper more than promises. That's on me. Her husband once leaned against this counter and joked that I should relax now. You've done enough. He told me, like a pat on the head. I smiled. I always did. Smiling keeps the peace. Smiling also teaches people where you'll bend. Now I knock when I come in. I wait to be offered a glass of water. I don't rearrange anything. Visitor rules. In a house my money helped anchor to the ground. My phone buzzed. A text from my daughter. Just left the airport. Be home soon. I typed, drive safe, and deleted it. Typed it again. Sent it. Small things feel big when you're already out of place. I noticed the framed party photo on the wall, new frame, same faces, my daughter in the middle, her husband angled toward her best friend like gravity pulled him there. Everyone smiling. Normal. I stared too long, then caught myself and looked away. That's another stupid habit. Catching myself before anyone else can. Footsteps sounded down the hall. Water kept running. I shut the drawer and wiped my hands on my jeans. I told myself I was a guest. Then I walked toward the sound anyway. My daughter lives by airport time. Layovers, red-eyes, missed dinners she apologizes for from 3 time zones away. When she's home, she's tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. I've learned not to complain. I just adjust. Her husband fills the space. He hosts. He invites. He's the kind of man who keeps a calendar full so no one notices who's missing. I don't mind when she's gone, he once told me. Like it made him generous. Keeps things simple. Her best friend Lena started showing up more around then, always with a reason. Dropping off decorations, returning a borrowed dish that wasn't borrowed. I figured I'd help since Aaron's flying, she'd say, already halfway inside the house. He'd thank her too quickly, familiar, easy, like this had always been the arrangement. I didn't clock it at first. That's on me. When someone is always welcome, you stop seeing them arrive. I moved toward the hallway and heard a message chime, short, bright. Then a quick hush. The water kept running. My steps slowed without me deciding to slow them. From the other room, his voice drifted out. Casual and tight at the same time. She won't be back for hours. Another voice answered. Lower. I know. Silence. Not the comfortable kind. The kind that listens. I stood there, keys heavy in my hand, thinking about how many dinners my daughter had missed, how many nights he'd had a house full of people instead, how often Lena had filled the empty chair like it was temporary. I took one more step. The message chime sounded again. Then nothing. I didn't announce myself. I never do. It didn't start loud. That's the part people miss. It started polite. Mom, you're mixing things up, my daughter told me once. Gentle as a blanket. We were standing right here, actually, arguing about a delivery time. I was sure I'd heard him change it. He leaned back and smiled like a teacher. She worries. He added, it's normal at her age. He loved that word. Used it like seasoning. A little at a time. Another time. I asked where a box had gone. Important papers. He laughed. Soft. You put it somewhere safe. He told me. You always do that. Then he glanced at my daughter. Quick, like a wink without the eyelid. She looked at me the way you look at someone who might need help, but doesn't want it. I'll help you look later, she offered. Kind, patient. Already halfway convinced I was the problem, I backed off. I always backed off. I didn't want to be the mother who made things heavy. So I learned to doubt my own memory out loud. Maybe I'm wrong. I'd say, maybe I forgot. Stupid habit. Real stupid. He kept going. Little corrections, little sighs. She gets anxious. She fills in gaps. She means well. Every line sounded caring. Every line shaved me down a bit. Once, I pushed back. I told my daughter I was sure he'd promised something different. He didn't argue. He touched her shoulder instead. It's okay, he told her. We don't have to upset her. That one stuck. Upset her. Not wrong. Upset. Standing in the hallway now, listening to water run and voices hush. I felt the shape of it. The training. The repetition. The way confidence gets built when no one ever checks you. Whatever he was about to say to me today, it wasn't new, it was rehearsed. I didn't feel surprised, but I felt prepared in a way I didn't like admitting. I adjusted my grip on my phone, then I took the last step toward the door. The sound pulled me before I chose to move. Water running, not a sink, moms, not steady. The guest bathroom. The door wasn't closed, just shy of it, like someone trusted the angle. I nudged it with 2 fingers. He was there, my son-in-law, shirt half open, belt undone, hands moving fast like he'd been burned. Lena stood too close, lipstick smeared at the corner of her mouth, blouse crooked. She made a small noise, not a scream, more like a breath caught wrong. He laughed. Short, sharp, intimate, like they'd practiced it. This isn't... He started, then stopped when he saw my face. Nothing about it looked like confusion. Clothes, panic. The way they split apart too late. Real things, heavy things. My hands stopped shaking. Just stopped. That scared me more than anything. I expected noise from myself. I expected anger to rush in. Instead, I felt clear, like a window wiped clean with a sleeve. Lena reached for the sink. Missed it. Steadied herself on the counter. Charlene, sus. He stepped forward, blocking her without looking at her. Power move. Old one, you shouldn't be here. He told me. Calm. Like a correction. I took a step back into the hall, not retreating, making space. Water kept running behind them. I could hear my own breathing, even quiet. I didn't yell. I didn't ask for explanations. I turned away and reached for my phone. He didn't flinch. That was the first thing I noticed. No scrambling, no apology. He straightened his shirt like he was resetting a bad tie before a meeting. Then he smiled at me. It wasn't nervous. It wasn't even mean yet. It was confident, practiced. Like he'd already run this moment in his head and liked how it ended. Relax, he told me, voice low, almost kind. You're working yourself up. Lena stood behind him, hands hovering near her mouth, lipstick smeared and shining under the light. She kept rubbing it with her thumb, making it worse. Her eyes were wet but sharp, tracking him, waiting for instructions. This isn't what you think. She tried, words tumbling into each other. Charlene, please, He lifted a hand without turning around. She stopped mid-sentence. Power moves don't need noise. I didn't answer either of them. I set my phone face down on the hallway table, right next to the bathroom door. It looked like I'd just forgotten it there in my confusion. But the mic was open. The recording was live. He tilted his head, studying me. You always do this, he added, softer now. Fill in gaps. I breathed in, slow, let him hear it. He stepped closer, just enough to crowd the space. No one will believe a crazy old woman. He laughed when he said it, not loud, just enough to land. There it was. The line, the one he'd been sharpening for years. Lena made a small sound, like she'd dropped something fragile inside herself. She reached for his arm. He shook her off without looking. You've been confused before, he continued. Calm as paperwork. We've talked about this. You mix things up. You forget. I shifted my weight. Let the phone keep listening. Let him keep digging. You don't want to make this ugly, he went on. Erin's tired. She's been flying nonstop. You really want to stress her out with one of your episodes. He chose that word on purpose. I nodded once, like I was agreeing. He mistook it for surrender. That's when his smile widened. Behind him. Lena pressed her back to the counter, eyes darting between us. She whispered my name again. I didn't look at her. I thought about all the times I'd doubted myself out loud, all the times I'd softened my memory so everyone else could stay comfortable. I thought about how sure he sounded now. The real crime wasn't the cheating. It was the certainty. The way he spoke, like my reality was already gone. I slid the phone deeper into my pocket and locked my face into stillness. Then I stepped out of the bathroom and closed the door. I stepped out and pulled the door shut. Not hard, just enough. The lock was the old kind. The kind with a key you keep nearby in case a kid traps themselves. I took the key from the hook and turned it once. Click. No drama, no speech. I didn't announce anything. I stood there for a second, listening to the water cut off inside. Then the silence shifted. He hit the door with his palm, one time. Testing. Open this. He called, louder than before. Not angry yet. Commanding. I didn't answer. The knob rattled. Another hit. Harder. Charlene, don't do this. I walked to the chair across from the bathroom and sat down where I could see the door straight on, like a checkpoint, like a promise I'd keep. Inside, his voice changed, softer, careful. Let's talk. He offered. You're upset. We can fix this. Lena cried then. Quiet. A sound like air leaking out of a tire. He told her to stop. Sharp. Short. She did. He tried again. Calmer. You don't want to make a mess of this. I rested my hands on my knees. They were steady. I noticed that before anything else. The door stayed closed. The lock stayed turned. I pulled my phone out and set it face down beside me. Not recording now. Just present. Whatever story he planned to tell later, it wouldn't start with him walking out on his own. I took the phone off the table and didn't look at the screen. Muscle memory. My daughter answered on the third ring. Breath still airport fast, "Mom," she asked, "I'm driving. Come home now." I told her. Short, flat, no extra words to argue with. There was a pause, tires on pavement. "What happened, please?" I added. That was it. She didn't push. She never does when she hears that tone. "I'm 10 minutes out," she replied, and the line went quiet, except for her breathing. "Good. Keep moving." Inside the bathroom, footsteps stopped. Like they were holding their breath, too. He knew what a call like that meant. I scrolled and found the number I'd saved years ago after an exam that scared me more than I admitted. Mark picked up with the calm voice people get when chaos is their job. "This is Charlene," I began. "I know," he replied. "You okay?" "This involves your wife," I told him. "I won't say it on the phone." Silence. Not confusion. Calculation. "Where are you?" "You." "My daughter's house. I'm already in the neighborhood," he answered, his voice tight. I followed her GPS. I knew she wasn't at the store. That's how you know a man hears truth when it knocks. From behind the door, a voice pressed close to the wood. "Charlene," he called. Soft, like he was helping me across a street. "You don't need to bring other people into this." I didn't respond. I set the phone face down and slid it closer to my knee. If you've ever tried to be the calm one in a room that wants you small, you know why I stayed quiet. Lena whispered something I couldn't make out. He snapped her name. One syllable. She went quiet. My daughter texted, "Pulling in." I stood up and moved closer to the door. Not threatening, just present. The house felt tight then, like it was waiting to exhale. When the doorbell rang, the pounding inside didn't start again. They were listening. The front door opened so hard the decorative wreath rattled against the wood. My daughter rushed in like she'd run the last block, her flight uniform wrinkled, her face a mask of pure, exhausted panic. "Mom," she blurted. Her eyes went straight to my face. Not the locked door, not the silence. Just me, like she was looking for a break in my sanity. "I'm here," I told her. I stood by the hallway table, my hand resting inches from my phone. "You're home just in time." "What happened? Why did you call me like that?" Her voice dropped, trembling. She was terrified that the episodes her husband always talked about had finally become real. I didn't offer an explanation. I didn't defend myself. I simply picked up the small metal key from the table and placed it in her palm, closing her fingers around it. "Open it yourself. Aaron, see the truth before he has a chance to rewrite it." She stared at the key. "Why is the guest bathroom locked?" "Mom, what are you doing from behind the door?" My son-in-law's voice erupted smooth, practiced, and dripping with fake concern. "Aaron, thank God. Open this door. Your mother has completely lost it this time. She's trapped us in here over some delusion." I saw my daughter flinch. That word delusion was the hook he'd been using to sink her confidence for years. Heavy footsteps sounded behind us. Mark walked in, his face grim, eyes scanning the hallway like a crime scene. He didn't say a word to me. He just stood next to the door, his presence making the hallway feel even smaller. My daughter looked from the key to the door, her eyes filling with tears. "Mom, please. If this is another misunderstanding, if you're just confused." I didn't argue. I reached down, picked up my phone from the hallway table where it had been recording, and hit play. I didn't hide it in my pocket. I held it up between us like a weapon. The recording was crystal clear. His voice, stripped of all the warmth he used for the public, filled the space. "Relax. You're working yourself up. No one will believe a crazy old woman." Then, the sound of his sharp, mocking laugh. The silence that followed the recording was louder than any scream. My daughter's face went through 3 stages: the shock of the betrayal, the heat of the shame, and finally, a cold, hard clarity I hadn't seen in her for years. She didn't look at me. She didn't look at Mark. She turned the key in the lock with a decisive click. The door swung open to a scene of pathetic chaos. Lena was pressed against the far counter, her eyes red, her blouse still crooked. My son-in-law stepped forward, his mouth already open to spin a new lie, but the sight of the phone in my hand stopped him cold. This is out of context. He began, his voice cracking. Aaron, you know how she manipulates things. Stop. My daughter cut in. It wasn't a shout. It was a blade. She looked at Lena, then back to the man she thought she knew. Get your things. Both of you. Mark finally moved. He didn't touch his wife. He didn't offer a hand. He simply stepped back and pointed toward the front door, a silent, final command. Lena walked past him like a ghost, not daring to make eye contact. My son-in-law turned his rage on me. You did this on purpose. You've been waiting for this. I met his gaze without blinking. For the first time in years, I didn't smile to keep the peace. I didn't need you to believe me. I told him, my voice steady and quiet. I just needed my daughter to hear who you really are when you think no one is listening. The house felt different then. The air didn't feel heavy anymore. It felt empty, and for the first time, empty felt like a very good place to start. He left with a duffel and a mouth full of threats he didn't finish. My daughter stood in the doorway and didn't move to stop him. She didn't raise her voice either. Go. She told him once more, calm like a door clicking shut. He went. Mark didn't touch her. He didn't even look at her. He just pointed toward the front door, a silent command that Lena obeyed like a shamed child. We'll talk later, he told her, his voice flat. They walked out into the night. Two strangers who used to share a life. Shock can be quiet when it finally understands itself. The house didn't feel lighter after, just honest. 2 days later, I sat in a small office with a family attorney my neighbor recommended. I laid everything out. The land sale papers from Prescott. The wire transfer sent straight to my daughter. The closing documents with dates and signatures. The attorney didn't nod much. She didn't need to. This helps. She told us. That was enough. The divorce started without fireworks. Paper moves slower than anger. My daughter took time off. 1 month turned into 2. She slept. She ate. She stopped apologizing for breathing. When she went back to flying, she set rules I'd never heard her say out loud before. I can't take that shift. I need a day. Her voice didn't shake. We didn't chase revenge. We chased safety. Locks changed, accounts separated. Boundaries written down and respected because they were written down. That mattered more than shouting ever could. I learned something ugly and useful. When people call you confused long enough, you start editing yourself. You make your truth smaller so the room stays comfortable. Don't do that. Keep the papers. Keep the dates. Keep your voice even when it's quiet. Quiet isn't weak. It's precise. If this story landed with you, tap like so it reaches someone who needs it. Subscribe if you want more real ones. Leave a comment if you've ever been told to doubt your own memory. I still visit. I knock. My daughter tells me I don't have to. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I do. The difference now is simple. No one treats my clarity like a symptom anymore.